Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. I know it's been a minute, but I'm back to it. So today I had something on my mind. So I have a test shoot on Sunday of this week. So I felt like today would be a good time to go over the things to consider when you're choosing a photographer to actually test with. See, the worst thing that you can do as a model is not go into a test being prepared. And what do I mean by that? I mean knowing what kind of work that the photographer does, what kind of images that you want the photographer to capture, really putting your best foot forward and doing your due diligence before you actually test with a photographer. So I'm going to go over the 7 different things to consider when testing with a photographer, so stay tuned. And as always, guys, if you're finding value in this content, please don't forget to share this, hit that like button, ding that notification bell, and subscribe, because each week I'm going to be dropping more nuggets of information, anything modeling based. So you'll want to keep it locked and come back. So let's get it. So the first thing you want to consider is, do you feel confident and comfortable with the photographer? See, you wouldn't want to go out on a date with a total stranger. Yeah, you may be attracted to him, but if you're not confident or comfortable that you'll have anything in common with that person, you wouldn't want to go on a date with him, would you? So apply that same logic to a photographer. You'll want to make sure that that photographer is somebody who you can you have an easy line of communication with, and you have rapport. You guys just gel and vibe, because if you guys gel and vibe, then that's going to reflect in the pictures and the work that you guys do together. So the second question you'll want to ask yourself is, have you looked at the photographer's portfolio? See, any legitimate photographer that's been in the game for a bit, they're going to have a website. They're going to have a portfolio of work with a different range of models, to where you should be able to see yourself within their work. So what do I mean by that? So if the most photographers, they have a certain style in which they shoot. So if you're a guy or a girl, and let's say that you are wanting to book H&M, right? You'll want to make sure that you choose or select a photographer that kind of shoots within that style. The worst thing you could do is, want to book a Gap or H&M, Yves Saint Laurent, a Dolce & Gabbana, a Nike, and you just choose a photographer that doesn't shoot in that style. So you will want to put yourself in the client's position, okay? Let's say that the client is on your agency board, and they're looking at the row of models that they want to select for their next campaign. And they come across your images, and you have some images in there that may speak to them, but just the style is a miss. They can't really see themselves putting you in their next campaign. And why is that? Maybe it's because you tested with photographers that don't shoot in that style. So that's another thing that you want to be mindful of. Make sure that the photographer that you want to test with shoots in a style that is pretty much tailor-made for you and the kind of clients that you do want to work with. There's a third thing to consider, and this is really, really important. You'll want to consider, is there life in the photographer's images? And what do I mean by that? So their work, if you have their work in your book, that's going to be a reflection upon you. And the last thing clients are going to want to see are like lifeless, dull, awkward images, that they can't see themselves like booking you for their next campaign. So you'll want to make sure that the photographer's images, they're fluid, there's life in them, there's you can see yourself in them, right? And then you want to make sure, are they sharp? Are they in focus? Does it look like this was done by a professional? Little nuances like that. And then you can also, if you do your research and you happen to know some models who have shot with this particular photographer before, you can reach out to the models and kind of gauge with them, like, how was it working with this guy or girl? How was the communication? Like, did you like the images? Did you book any work after you shot with them? These are things to kind of consider, and this is really, really important. I feel like a lot of models kind of overlook this sort of thing, because again, think about it like this, the photographer's work, if you shot with them, is going to be an extension of you if, you want to work with a certain client and they choose to either work with you or not, because of the images you shot with that photographer. The fourth thing to consider, and this is going to be pretty self-explanatory, you'll want to know what their rates are. Now, the typical test shoot for a photographer, it tends to be around $150 all the way up to $500. But the reason why the prices may fluctuate like that is, the things that you may need during that shoot. Like, are you having a makeup artist? Are you having your own stylist? Is this going to be a multi-location shoot? Is it one location? Are you in studio? These are the sorts of things that you'll want to plan and map out and kind of ask questions with the photographer so that you could kind of go and book and work with the photographer with this line of understanding. The next thing to consider is what's the communication like? Kind of like piggybacking off of my first point that I made to open the video. How open is your correspondence with the photographer prior to shooting? If you find that the photographer is they're getting back to you in a timely manner, they're open to new ideas. You can send them things like a storyboard or your looks, and then they can kind of get an image of how they want to shoot you and what you're asking for. So again, let's use H&M. That's an easy client to use. So if I'm wanting my images to kind of look like H&M, I'm going to send them images of myself in different H&M style clothing so that they can kind of have an idea of what sorts of clothing I'm going to be wearing, what the mood's going to be like, what sort of locations will look good for this kind of clothing. These are going to be the things that you'll want to communicate to the photographer so you guys can be lockstep to put out a great product. So the next thing you want to be clear on is you will want to know how many photos you'll actually be able to keep after editing. And they will generally let you know this up front before you even pay them. So you know whatever money that you're paying is going to come with a certain number of photos. You know, they're going to be, they'll tell you if they're going to be retouched, if there needs to be a reshoot or whatever. This goes into my point and that open line of communication between you and the photographer. So if you have any questions and things that you're unclear upon, you know, the photographer should be able to fill you in, and it shouldn't be any sort of ambiguity anywhere. The last thing you'll want to think about is how long will it take them to edit your photos and get them to you. You know, you don't want to shoot something and it takes like a month to get the photos back. You know, it wouldn't be worth the money that you paid. So again, generally, depending on the photographer's workload, they'll be able to tell you, okay, well, I'll be done with these within a week, 2 weeks. That's generally like the longest time that I've experienced. But again, you can ask the questions with the photographer. They should be able to keep you updated on like how closely they are to getting those edits done. And if you have any questions, just shoot them an email, hit their line, and they'll be able to get back to you. All right, guys, so those are the things to consider before working with a photographer. And don't be afraid, again, to reach out. If anything is unclear, you don't want any sort of gray areas before you decide to go ahead and test with a photographer. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Have you reached out to a photographer and things went badly? There was like gray areas. You didn't know what was expected of you. They didn't know what was expected of them when you guys met up? Or did you guys have like dope experiences with photographers that you tested with for the first time? Did you have bad experiences? Kind of let me know like what your experiences have been. Until the next time, I'll see you guys in the next video.